Tinubu has once again set the North in confusion, in disarray with appointments. As we have it, the North is at it again, accusing the man Tinubu of lopsidedness, of marginalization against the North. This one, I will allow you listen to it quickly from Daily Post. It's a customs recruitment. Tinubu Emeritus Professor of Nepotism. Northerners feel hated. Profiled. This is coming from Mahdi Shehu. You go further to say that political activist Mahdi Shehu has accused President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Controller General of Customs of promoting nepotism and regional bias in the newly released 2025 Custom Cadet Officers shortlist. In a post shared on X on Saturday, Shehu alleged that the recruitment list show a clear preference for candidates from the South, especially the Southwest, at the expense of the North. He claimed that out of a total of 1,785 shortlisted candidates, 1,244 were from the South, while only 541 came from the North. According to him, about 45% of the entire list, roughly 803 candidates, were from the Southwest alone. I will stop there for now, but I want us to juxtapose this with what Buhari did. I'm not in any way trying to justify lopsidedness. I'm not in any way trying to justify marginalization. We understand that in Nigeria, we have federal character that guides recruitment, employment, when it has to do with federal government. And that ought to have been followed to the letter. But let me bring to your notice or to your knowledge, or it could be a refreshing of your knowledge, because this one happened in the time of Muhammadu Buhari. This one is coming from the Punch. Specifically, it came on the 10th of July 2016. It says Buhari's appointment, a tie towards the North. Going forward, I say, like Bayewu, examine the controversy that has continued to trail President Muhammadu Buhari's appointments, which are seen as lopsided to favor a particular section of the country. Army grievances from different parts of the country over the appointments made by President Muhammadu Buhari, which are widely believed to be lopsided in favor of North. The Special Assistant to the President, National Assembly Matters, Senate, Senator Ita Anlang, on Wednesday dismissed such insinuations. We understand the angle he's speaking from, because as an appointee of the president, he must always speak in favor of the president. Just as you can see in some cases, the appointees of this government will always equally speak in favor of the government. But in all of this, I'm not encouraging lopsidedness, but I'm saying that when Buhari was doing all of this, we seldom hear northern elements speak. So the question is, why have they now become advocates of the North, talking about northern figures? But a quick look at the list as we have it under Buhari will shock you, because from what I have here, this is what Buhari did his time. Of course, I will place the list on the screen for you to see. As I'm reading it, you'll be watching the screen, you'll be seeing the list by yourself and make a personal self-appraisal and see what we are into as a people, as a country. This one says position, region. It says Chief of Army Staff, North. National Security Advisor, North. EFCC, North. Defense, North. Air Force, North. Police, that is Police IG, North. NSCDE, that is Civil Defense Corps, North. DSS, North. NIS, North. NIP, North. FROSC, North. Fire Service, North. NEMA, North. Customs, North. Then these 14 positions. Look at the one he gave to the South. He said Defense Staff, South. NIA, South. Navy, South. So meaning, out of the 17, Buhari merely gave the South 3, and the North took 14. So you can clearly see that Muhammadu Buhari set stage for all of this. Like I told you, I'm not trying to justify or to defend anyone. But it's good we look at this retrospectively. What happened in the past? Could a Tinubu be taking a cue from what Buhari did? And going forward, what should be the fate of those who do not have their people in power? So if this is what we continue to experience as a people, as a country, does it make sense to continue being together as a country if those who seek to govern us, if those who govern us do not respect the very constitution they swore an oath to respect? We understand that under Muhammadu Buhari, he only swore an oath to uphold the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I think that's oath of allegiance or so. But by the time you breach federal character, it implies that the person is actually breaching the oath of office. But as we have it in Nigeria, once you are in such lofty position as the president, as the governor, you are like a tin god. Nobody challenges your authority. Even the constitution cannot challenge your authority. Because even as you have it, even if you drag the government to court, you are on your own. That's the situation in Nigeria. If a Jonathan, a man who should know better, a former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, can come out clearly to say that the judiciary in Nigeria pretend to be sleeping. Of course, he was drawing from an Indian adage that said that when a man pretends to sleep, you cannot wake a person up, except when the man genuinely sleeps. And according to him, that the Nigerian judiciary pretend to be sleeping. And he was directly referring to how judgment could be manipulated or manipulated in Nigerian judiciary. So the question is, how do we get it right? Because whether we like it or not, it is not spirits, it is not angel that will manage the affairs of Nigeria. It is Nigerians that manage the affairs of Nigeria, that manage the constitution, that preside over it. So if people are privileged, because I can clearly see that in North, there are so many of them who feel that they are not going to vote for Tinubu again, because according to them, that he got the major vote that put him in office from the North, and as such, he needed not to marginalize the North. Because if you look at, but the question is, when Muhammadu Buhari was involved in lopsided appointments, was involved in gross violation of the oath of office he took by a way of not following further character. Why that most of the Northerners were not speaking? We can clearly see the lives of Yusuf Usman. Of course, I think that is the National Secretary of National Health Insurance Scheme, saying that the man Tinubu is committing a very big blunder by annihilating the North. A situation that he views that it may cost him his 2027 presidential election, or rather his quest to have re-elected. But the question is, why is it that the North were not courageous enough to challenge a Buhari while he was doing all of this? Because I could remember under Muhammadu Buhari how he emphatically said that the southeastern part of the country gave him 5% votes, and as such, that they will receive 5% attention. And I want to say that this is what he did in all his 8 years of governance. And under Muhammadu Buhari, we saw so much economic wastage instead of our commonwealth. And we never saw any northern figure coming out to challenge the then government. Because it beats all imagination how a government could spend about $18 billion to fix our refineries. And as we speak, none of them is functional. We only read about 2-3 days ago that House of representatives want to probe the spending. And as we speak, Dangote refinery, that is the largest single trade refinery in the world, costs about $20 billion. So it means that government wasted the money that could have built us a refinery that is as big as Dangote refinery. And nobody is asking question. And there's no guarantee that the House of Representatives, as they claim, will have what it takes to investigate what transpired, who did what, and how that money was spent. Or can we forget in a hurry how even that same government of Muhammadu Buhari drew about 30 trillion naira from central bank through ways and means? And we understand that even the law establishing that window through which federal government can borrow from CBN says that you cannot borrow above your 5%, the 5% of your annual earning. And if you borrow in a particular year, you have not paid, that you are not eligible to borrow in the preceding year. Even if the Buhari government later regularized the law to suit what they did before they left office. But I want to say that in the process of all the borrowing, they breached all the external laws that empower them to do so. And I want to believe that the reason they hurriedly regularize the law is to ensure that when they leave office, even if somebody accuses him, that they will not have the legal ground to challenge what he did. And nobody's asking questions. And even when that same government spent about 1.9 billion US dollar to build a rail line project from Kano to Niger, they have no economic value for Nigerian economy. And nobody's asking questions. Even up to today, nobody is looking at how he managed Nigeria for 8 years. Like I said, I'm not justifying anything anybody have done. If they not complain of marginalization, lopsidedness, and they have the data and they're correct, I want to say that they are right in their position. But the question is, when the South were right in their position when everybody was doing it, why is it that they were not vocal? They had a slip. They were not ready to speak up. That is where it becomes, one becomes bothered about the issue of Nigeria. That is why we even say, let us, of course, summon a sovereign national conference. Bring everyone on board. Let us define the terms upon which we want to continue being together. Because I must say that in 2014, we had a very good opportunity to do that. But unfortunately, the national government, according to some school of thought, didn't have the courage to implement the result of the confab after the confab. Though some people will tell you that he actually played politics because he waited at the twin light of his administration to initiate such. But if I look at it, we need a similar situation. That is why I encourage this government, talking about the government of Senator Amebola Tinubu, that even if you are not interested in that report, talking about the report of the 2014 confab, you can convey a different one. The important thing is, let Nigerians have opportunity of discussing how they want to control being together. Because as we speak, there are so many problems plaguing this country, from insecurity to the economy. Almost everywhere you look at, there is crisis. Is it in the area of health sector, where the best hands in the health sector are living in mass exodus? It is the area of insecurity, where life has become valueless in the northern part of the country. And every attempt to right the wrong by way of rejigging the security architecture through constitutional means is always being resisted by those who currently benefit from the current fraudulent status quo. Because for me, based on the imagination, where even as the governor of Plateau recently made a proposal when the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review visited his state, made a proposal for state police. He built on the imagination why Fulani in his state will rise to reject state police. Whereas everybody have agreed that there's every need to move away from how we were doing things before, because it doesn't make any sense. If you continue doing the same thing over and over, I'm going to tell you that if you do it 1 million times, you get the same results. So you must take out of the box to get it right. And we have equally seen a situation where even after federal government have given directive to state governors, state governments to go ahead and start recruiting forest guards between 2,000 and 5,000 personnel, depending on their financial capacity to pay, that we are not seeing the eagerness from the state governments to keen at this. Particularly those states that are ravaged with serious level of insecurity, Fulani militias, like states like Zamfara, Katsina, of course, Plateau, Kwara. The question is, why are they not jumping at this with a speed of light? So, I think there's every need for Nigerians to come together to tinker with the ground norm and define how they want to continue being together going forward. But at this point, I must say very thank you for your time. This is Mr.